Hi guys, today I am going to talk about the .NET Core 3 Preview 1 information, and this has got a reference to the announcing .NET Core 3 Preview 1 and open sourcing Windows desktop frameworks at this location, at this URL. So I'll put this URL in the video description. So there is a lot that goes into the Preview 1, so please watch on till the end of this video, and this is only the part 1. Actually there are so many things that went into Preview 1 that I will be dividing it into 2 lectures, so this will be the first part. Okay, so the Preview 1 was announced on December 4, 2018. It was the first public release of .NET Core 3. Now, applications in .NET Core 3 Preview 1 can be developed with Visual Studio 2019 Preview 1 and Visual Studio Code. And you can download and get started with .NET Core 3 Preview 1 from this link. Again, this will be in the video description. So please watch on, and please watch this tutorial from end to end to make some value out of this. If you are a serious ASP.NET Core student and or would like to develop into an expert in .NET Core 3, so please watch from end to end. Now, .NET Core 3 is a major update which adds support for building Windows desktop apps using Windows Presentation Foundation or WPF, Windows Forms and Entity Framework 6. ASP.NET Core 3 enables client-side development with Blazor components, which is also part of the .NET Core 3 release. Entity Framework Core 3 has support for Azure Cosmos DB. It also includes support for the C# 8, which is the newest version of C# and .NET Standard 2.1. Now, .NET Core 3 has Windows Desktop. The first two versions, that means .NET Core 1 and .NET Core 2, they were primarily focusing on supporting web applications, web APIs, Internet of Things and console applications. However, .NET Core 3 adds support to building Windows desktop application using Windows Presentation Foundation and Windows Form frameworks. It also adds support for modern controls and fluent styling from Windows UI XAML library via XAML islands. Microsoft is supporting Entity Framework 6 on .NET Core 3, as many desktop applications use Entity Framework for data access today. The new features such as side-by-side deployment, self-contained applications, the latest improvements in Core Framework, Core effects are taken care of by these frameworks. Now, with the release of .NET Core 3, Windows Presentation Foundation, Windows Forms and WinUI are open sourced. The Microsoft announced the open sourcing of .NET Core on November 12, 2014. As per them, it was a big success, as evident from 60,000 community accepted pull requests from more than 3,700 companies outside of Microsoft. They open sourced Windows Presentation Foundation, Windows Form and WinUI on December the 4th, 2018. WPF and Windows Form projects are under the stewardship of .NET Foundation, which is another organization, and it is also on this link as I am browsing, https://aka.ms/DNF member update. So again, this link will be provided in the description so that the community will directly guide the foundation operations. The .NET Foundation has also expanded to include new sponsors in Pivotal, Progress Telerik and Insight, apart from existing sponsors in Red Hat, JetBrains, Google Unity, Samsung, apart from Microsoft themselves. Now, they believe that the new structure will help .NET Foundation scale to meet the growing .NET open source ecosystem needs. Now, this is a form that is created out of some commands, on the command window. So WPF and Windows Form can now be used with .NET Core. As you know, they ship in a new component called Windows Desktop, that is part of the Windows version of the Software Development Kit or SDK. And you can create new .NET Core projects for WPF and Windows Form from the command line by just open a command line by clicking on the search icon on your Windows 10 desktop or laptop, and then write CMD and a command window will pop. So you issue these two commands. First one is to create a new WPF application, and the second one is to create a new WinForms. Right. So once you have created the project .NET Run, then you can issue a .NET Run command that will then run these applications. The following image shows what a Windows Form app looks like, and this is the WPF. So if a new WPF application is created with the previous slide commands, it looks like this main window as a title. You can also open, launch and debug Windows Presentation Foundation and Windows Form projects in Visual Studio 2019 Preview 1. The new projects are same as existing .NET Core projects with a few additions. Now let's compare the basic .NET Core console project versus Windows Form and WPF project. So let's compare the project files, .cs project. In a .NET Core console project, the file uses Microsoft .NET.SDK and declares a dependency on .NET Core 3.0 via NetCore App 3.0 target framework. So this is all that a project file contains in .NET Core. Project SDK Microsoft.NET.SDK, property group is output type is exe, target framework is NetCore App 3.0, and that's all. In the WPF and Windows Form projects look similar but use a different SDK and also use properties to declare UI, which UI framework is being used. For WPF it looks like this. So the difference being the SDK has changed from Microsoft.NET.SDK to Microsoft.NET.SDK.Windows Desktop, and output type has become WinExe instead of exe. Target framework is still the same, not NetCore App 3.0, and use WPF true. This is another property added. Okay, so two main difference between the console and WPF project files are the change of SDK and also using a property use WPF, which has got a value true in WPF. And we have got similarly, it's very similar to the Windows Form project file is very similar to the WPF file. Here the output type is WinExe, and other than use WPF, it is using use Windows Form true. Okay, and then the use WPF and use Windows Forms properties allow a project to specify whether it uses Windows Forms or WPF. Straightforward. This will allow tooling such as IntelliSense or the toolbox or menus in Visual Studio to provide an experience tailored to the UI frameworks being used. Now both properties can be set to true if the app uses both frameworks. Such is the case, for example, when a Windows Form dialog is hosting a WPF control. Now applications now have executables by default. .NET Core applications are now built with executables. This is new for applications that use a globally installed version of .NET Core. Until now, only self-contained applications had executables. You can expect the same things with these executables as you would other native executables, such as you can double click on the executable, you can launch the application from a command prompt without using the .NET tool using myconsole.exe on Windows. If the application name is myconsole, then it would have created a myconsole.exe, and ./my console on Linux or Mac OS, as you can see in the following example. So Windows example of launching the application from a command prompt without using the .NET tool. Now here I have given you a real life what I experienced, because G is my data drive and I have created an application and console app1 previously, and then change the directory to bin debug / netcore app 3.0, and then the directory /b switch lists out all the files that are in that directory. Okay, bin debug / netcore app 3 directory, and then when I give this command console app1.exe, it spells out hello world. And if I issue a command like .NET console app1.dll, it is a DLL file, it also gives me, it runs the DLL in the .NET framework giving hello world. Now .NET build now copies dependencies. .NET build now copies NuGet dependencies for your application from NuGet cache to build your build output folder during the build operation. Until this release, those dependencies were only copied as part of .NET Publish. This change allows you to xcopy your build output to different machine. So xcopy command, you can look into the internet how to use xcopy command to xcopy to write a script which copies from one directory, one path to the another path. You can see the new experience in the following example. So this is also a real life example on my machine. So what I have done, that I have issued this command .NET add package newtonsoft.json, and then issued a build command .NET build, and then I have listed the contents of directory bin /debug / netcore app 3.0 / star.dll, all the DLL files. So it has listed all the DLL files. So there were two DLL files, console app1.dll and newtonsoft.json.json.dll. So in this lecture, which is pretty long, I would say, I have to divide the .NET Core 3.0 preview and release. So I could take only about half of the main features that Microsoft released with the .NET Core 3 preview 1, and we have seen some things like Windows Desktop comes to .NET Core, WPF Windows Form and Win UI open sourced, and we have learnt about WPF and Windows Forms, how to create a WPF application and a Windows form in .NET Core 3 by issuing command line commands. And we have seen applications now have executables right by default, and that the .NET build now copies dependencies. That's all. Thank you.